Hello viewers, in the previous video we have talked in detail about the motherboard. Now let's look at all the components we have chosen for our home web server. As with any build, choosing your processor should be the first priority, which drives the decision of what other components you should buy. The other things to be considered is budget. If budget is really not our concern, we don't have to do a lot of research and can buy the best hardware available in the market. But for most of the people, budget is a concern. So we have to fix up on something that we can afford and do our research to create something better. In my case, I wanted to create a web server under $250 and started planning my hardware and ended up spending just $189, which is cool. Look for the shopping tip at the end of the video. Now, coming back to the processor, we have AMD and Intel to choose from, and it's obvious that we will go with AMD, which gives better bang for the buck. I wanted to get something under $50, and there are just a couple of Celeron processors available from Intel with dual core 2.5 plus GHz clock speed. On the other hand, AMD got a lot of options under $50, like few dual core A4 and A6 processors, dual and quad core Sempron processors, and quad core Athlon processors. It was a big dilemma to choose between a dual core processor with high clock speed versus a quad core with a lower clock speed. After a lot of reading online, I have decided to go with a quad core. There is no good source online which supports the argument that the quad-core lower clock speed is good for web server, but I read somewhere that Apache can take advantage of multiple cores, so I was convinced. So, finally I got this AMD Athlon 5350 Kabini quad-core 2.05 GHz processors with AMD Radeon R3 integrated graphics for $41. Yep. AMD Athlon 5350 Kabini quad-core 2.05 GHz processor with AMD Radeon R3 integrated graphics. Again, I could have spent another $30 to $35 and get better quad-core Athlon with higher clock speed, so I'm not compromised on the clock speeds. But when I made a trial list of parts with the latest processors, the overall budget going high because they need latest components, which each one is adding few more dollars. On the other hand, the compatible parts for Athlon 5350 are available on a sweeter price mark. So, this is all it took to decide my processor. Everything else was a straightforward decision. Now I know my processor and the socket it needs. The list of motherboards I need to look got smaller. When I found that this processor got a mini ITX motherboard, I was very happy and never looked back. Finally, I can make my mini ITX piece. What I got is a MSI AM1i motherboard, which we looked in detail in our previous video. So this is a mini ITX board available for $35 at the time of making this video, that is May 2016. The next item is the RAM. I got a Kingston HyperX Fury 8GB card with 1600 MHz clock speed for $36. I'm going with just one stick of 8GB instead of two sticks of 4GB because the processor got only one memory controller and the motherboard also doesn't support dual channel memory. For the hard disk, I got a Kingston SSD now with 300 120GB SSD for $41, and it's a SATA 3 with 450 megabytes per second read and write speeds. In my research, I learned that hard disk is the biggest bottleneck in a PC performance. So I went with the SSD instead of magnetic hard drive. You can double the capacity for the same price if you go with a traditional hard disk, but I wanted to make a PC with better performance, compromising on the space. 120GB should be more than enough for a web server. Now we are left with the case and the power supply. Mini ITX builds are expensive compared to the micro ATX just because of the case. A good case costs around $120. After a lot of hours of virtual shopping and going through the reviews, I got a mini ITX case from Inwin. So this is BB655 FH300 TB3 model case with a 300 watt power supply included. So this is a case and PSU combo. If your goal is not a ITX build, you can get a bigger and better case and power supply around the same price. It's up to you. PCPartPicker.com is showing my wattage requirement for these parts as 74 watt, and OuterVision.com power supply calculator showing 114 watts, So I should be good enough with a 200 to 250 watt PSU, but I would have went with a 300 watt PSU to be on the safe side. There is one more thing we need for this build. We got a 2.5-inch SSD in our case, but the chassis has only a 3.5 bay, so we need a drive bay converter. I got this Sabrent drive bay converter which converts the 2.5-inch SSD to the 3.5-inch drive bay for $8. There are other drive bay converters available for $5 or $6, but this one can hold two 2.5-inch SSDs in one bay converter, which is cool. Let's look at the actual build and see how my first PC build go in the next video. Shopping tip before signing off. PCPartPicker.com is showing that this build costs $210 if I order the parts from 5 different websites to get the cheapest price available on the item. It would be nice if I can order everything from one website and get even better price. It was possible in my case using jet.com and even got a 15% off in my first order. You can actually get 15% off on your first 3 orders. I was actually impressed when I find all these old and less popular parts in a single source, so I would definitely recommend checking jet.com. So once your technical research is complete, use some of your online shopping skills to save some dollars. Thank you for watching. I hope this video will help you with shopping your components for the home web server or other project of your choice. Bye.